the WSL.
Oh, what a shot! Oh, that's outrageous! Fantastic finish!
How about this?
Chelsea are the Women's Super League champions.
Previously on the BWSL.
Mala will take it back, and that is an equaliser in stoppage time. Manchester United won, Brighton and Hove Albion won.
In by Greenwood. That time it's met by Knack, and it goes all the way in! And there is the goal! A goal that keeps the title firmly in their hands. Here is Olivia Holtz from range, strikes! Wow, fantastic goal! Tottenham get their highest ever finish in the top flight.
That's a great ball, and steered in by Sam Kerr. Chelsea history maker, the outright top scorer in the Barclays WSL ever.
And look at that, she's just flicked it on, and this could seal it. Pubel, 2-0!
Well, tonight, the Barclays Women's Super League heads to Crawley for a pivotal midweek clash. Brighton and Hove Albion are the hosts and the potential disruptors. They've already halted Manchester City and denied Manchester United's European hopes. Now their focus turns to Arsenal. And the Gunners, wounded from their Champions League semi-final exit, know that there is no margin for error. Win tonight, the title race lives on. Lose or draw, they hand the trophy to City. Hello and welcome to Broadfield Stadium for our sole Wednesday fixture in this Barclays Women's Super League match week. Tonight, it's Brighton and Hove Albion hosting Arsenal in West Sussex. Well, 2 days ago, West Ham United continued their recent resurgence with a big win at Aston Villa, thanks to last gasp goals from Rico Ueki and Serena Pubel. And Arsenal will be hoping they can leave with all 3 points when they travel to Villa Park in the top flight's only fixture this weekend. So that means the first of Arsenal's 3 games in hand could not be more important in the grand scheme of things. City's late winner against Liverpool means the Gunners have to be perfect in the run-in to take this title race through to the final day. A win today will also guarantee Arsenal at least a spot in the Champions League qualifiers next season. Tottenham's win over London City means Brighton cannot finish any higher than 6th, but they can still rack up their best ever points total in the BWSL. Just 3 points will be enough to equal last season's record tally. Well, we will be welcoming the teams to the pitch shortly, but first, a word from the dugouts. Vicky Sparks has been speaking to both camps.
Well, Dario, 7 changes for this game. Of course, you've got a huge FA Cup semi-final coming up at the weekend. Was that behind some of your thinking today?
Yeah, it was. I think, you know, if all teams had a similar 3-game week, I think it'd be a little bit different. But, you know, with the prospect of extra time and potentially penalties, so we just had to take the consideration, the freshness of the players for that tie as well. So, yeah, well, look, but still a lot of trust in the girls tonight. I think, you know, we've had a 1 and a bit training sessions, but, you know, I think we can still put on a really good effort tonight and still go out and try win the game.
Yeah, your team really have been the disruptors in recent weeks, both when it comes to other clubs in the title race and in the race for the Champions League. The confidence in the squad as a whole must be sky high right now.
It is, and we wanted to, you know, take on head first this block. We knew we had a lot of tough challenges. We've risen to the challenge. We've come out to the other side and a lot more belief. So tonight's just another opportunity against a world-class team to test ourselves again.
And obviously you beat Arsenal in the FA Cup quarterfinals not too long ago. Does that give you the psychological edge going into this one?
A little bit. It gives us the belief, gives us the confidence that we can do it. So a lot of the time before, it was me talking and saying that I do believe in the squad, that we can do it, but we need the experience of winning these games, and given that happened not too long ago, should fill the girls with a lot of confidence to go out and hopefully do it again tonight.
Well, Renee, 5 changes from the Lyon game. Just talk us through your thinking behind that.
I feel like I'm repeating myself, but we have so many players ready to perform. So we're looking at who's most ready and who's most feasible for this game to start for us, and how are we going to finish the game. So it's that, and of course it's all tactical, technical, mental and physical preparation that plays in.
Obviously, it ended up being a really painful day in France for the team. How is the confidence in the squad after that disappointment?
One of the team's strengths is that we stay in the controlled middle, whatever the scenario. So yeah, of course that was a disappointment. We said we acknowledged we weren't at our best on the day, but still so close. So it was a disappointment, but then we also quickly moved on. We had a day off, and then the next day in was about managing, reflecting, and then the day after everything was about Brighton. So we're here now, we're in the here and now, and we look forward to the game tonight.
Yes, an incredibly intense and packed schedule for Renée Slagers and her Arsenal side to navigate. They've already played more games this season than I think they would have expected. Having reached the Champions League semi-final, taking part in the FIFA tournament at the start of the year as well. Now they have a few games in hand to get some points on the board. So will the Barclays Women's Super League title race continue to go the distance? Or will Manchester City be crowned champions tonight without kicking a ball? It is all in Arsenal's hands here at Broadfield Stadium. And the odds may be slim, but as long as it's mathematically possible, Renée Slagers' side will believe. 4 games remain, 4 must be won. And it starts here against a dangerous Brighton and Hove Albion. A side that have already stunned Manchester City and shaken Manchester United's European dreams. If Arsenal are to keep this title race alive, there is simply no room for error. A year ago, at this very ground, Brighton and Hove Albion stunned Arsenal. Tonight, they have the chance to do it again. And if they do, the shockwaves will ripple all the way to the top of the table. With a first trip to Wembley at stake this weekend, it's no surprise to see Dario Vidicic ring the changes tonight. There are 7 in total, with Fran Kirby, Kiko Seika, Madison Haley and Jelena Jankovic all rotated. So goal-scoring responsibility falls on Carla Camacho's young shoulders. The Spaniard celebrated her 21st birthday on Saturday, but did score on her last league start at Chelsea 6 weeks ago. 4 days on from their Champions League exertions, Renée Slagers freshens up her side with 5 changes tonight. Taylor Hines, Laia Kadina and Smila Holmberg all join Lotte Wubbenmoy in defence. Victoria Pelova and Frida Mornham's selections push Alessia Russo into the number 9 role. Caitlin Ford makes her 200th appearance for the club. And just look at that bench. They have a wealth of talents to turn to should they require. Well, this evening, you're going to get 2 Joneses for the price of 1. I'm Max Jones. Alongside me is Wales international Nia Jones. And Nia, with Brighton preparing for an FA Cup semi-final this weekend, that team selection hints that their priorities may just be about reaching that first Wembley final.
Yeah, absolutely, and you cannot blame them whatsoever. What an historical feat that would be, were they to get past Liverpool to make it into that illustrious FA Cup final. The dream for every club, certainly was Arsenal's dream as well, until they met this very team in Brighton, who shocked them once again. And Arsenal, I think the priority in terms of their squad is surely just freshness, probably a little bit more hungover emotionally than Renée Slagers is letting on, but certainly, as you said, still stacked full of international stars.
Alessia Russo leading the line, of course. 9 goals for her in the BWSL this season. Stina Blackstenius, who is on the bench this evening for the Gunners, also has 9 to her name. We are expecting another busy evening for Chiamaka Nnadozie in goal for Brighton, but that is just how the Nigerian likes it. It's the best save percentage in the competition. Plenty at stake for René Slagers. We're going to see a unique kickoff here by Caitlin Hayes. She fires that one out to touch. Sminger Holmberg behind it. So Brighton looking to win their 5th home match of the season, and bloody yet another of the so-called Big Four's noses in the process. Arsenal keen to put Saturday's heartbreak behind them by equalling their longest unbeaten run in a single top-flight campaign. The Gunners have only lost 1 of their 15 top-flight games against Brighton, but that did come in this very fixture last season. Mia Jones, this is all set up to be a tough battle between two sides, having a strong end to the domestic campaign.
Yeah, absolutely, and also two teams that share a lot in terms of values and the way that they like to play. That's with and without the ball. Brighton have become a team that are very good at pressing and can put even the best of teams in this league under heaps of pressure, but can also score some wonderful goals, something that we associate, of course, over the years with a team like Arsenal. So it'll be fascinating tactically tonight.
Give and go between Charlie Rule and Rachel McLaughlin. It allows her to get the ball in. There was a slip from Wubben Moy. As it comes to Molly Slagers, can play it through. Big chance for Brighton. And Svedten was denied initially before Rachel McLaughlin could only head over from close range. They have come flying out of the traps here, Brighton.
Well, they have. There was fireworks before kick-off to celebrate a wonderful season for them, and what a start they're having. It could have fallen really nicely to Camacho, as you said, after the slip from Wubben Moy, but that opportunity there falls to the new signing Svedten, and really she should get the angle better on her shot. It's a pretty simple one for Van Domselaar.
That is an early warning sign for Arsenal. Brighton aren't just here to play out the 90 minutes ahead of their big test in the FA Cup semi-final against Liverpool on Saturday. Charlie Rule. Forwards, looking for Camacho. Over to find Ford. Ford looking for the run of Frida Mornham. Right idea, wrong execution.
Yeah, and she can be really deadly when she cuts inside off that left wing to get involved. Can Caitlin Ford.
Already we're seeing Brighton not afraid to press Arsenal when they're in possession. Very similar to Manchester United at the weekend, obviously forced the error that they were able to then score from via Elena Jankovic, who is on the bench for them this evening.
And it's a free hit, really, isn't it? This one for Brighton and Hove Albion. They've had a terrific season. Yes, they want the 3 points here. They want to cause an upset. Vidicic spoke about they could exceed their best ever points tally prior to kick-off, but really, there's a bunch of players on the pitch today who haven't seen an awful lot of minutes compared to some of their teammates, so chance for them to impress individually as well.
Oh, winning the second ball there. Well, they can bring this one forward. Rule's carried on her run. Codina sliding in. And Callum Jones, the referee, blows his whistle against Charlie Rule.
Oh, I thought she was a bit unfortunate there, Rule. The Australian, I thought she was really eating up the ground. You can see she's a really powerful runner. Codina goes down early, has to make the challenge. I don't think there's much in that for me.
It's a bit of a breakout season for the 23-year-old Australian, Charlie Rule. Similar to Caitlin Ford, actually. Made her name at Sydney FC before coming over to these shores. Moy, the sole survivor from back four on Saturday, unable to keep that one in play. So Slagers with the captain's armband for Brighton and Hove Albion will take. It's on by Smith. Holmberg only ever has eyes for getting down the byline. Good crossing position as well for the Swede. It's Caitlin Ford on the volley. Could only find the legs of Rule in the way. May still fall though for Palova, and now Kim Little. Ford delivers, deep searching for Holmberg, who was in their last BWSL game did get her first 2 goals since making her winter move to Arsenal. 7-0 thrashing of Leicester City to confirm they will be in the relegation playoff. Dario Vidicic has overseen an impressive upturn in form in recent weeks. His Brighton side, as mentioned, now unbeaten in their last 5 games. Arsenal were one of the biggest scalps in that run. Seagulls knocking the 14-time champions out of the FA Cup at the quarter-final stage. Caitlin Ford.
It's just all a little bit forced, isn't it, from Arsenal? Saw a promising move developing a couple of minutes ago, but that forward ball from Ford, everything a little congested, which Brighton will be happy with.
The kindest of passes there from Nadozi.
No, and they have been susceptible to conceding big chances against different oppositions from trying to build out from the back. Have Brighton. They have shown versatility in the last few games of going direct when they need to, but Nadozi does have an error in her. They conceded 2 goals directly from that so far this season.
No goalkeeper with more forced errors leading directly to a goal. There's Camacho. Jordan. McLaughlin advanced. Minami. Sakis. It's the unfortunate Brighton player who scored the goal at Emirates Stadium when these two met earlier in the season. It was a very cagey 1-0 victory for Arsenal to bring an end to a 4-game losing run.
I think that's probably the period, isn't it, Max, that Arsenal will look back and really rue if they don't go on to catch Manchester City, which does seem almost out of reach now, you have to say. But it was that little period just prior to Christmas in the autumn where their form just dropped a little and the balance seemed off in the squad. Weren't quite getting rotations quite right in terms of when to play and when to build connections. But they have a terrific season from a performance perspective, but it'll be disappointing for them to finish without any silverware whatsoever.
Over to Ford. Sends another searching ball into the penalty area. Hayes behind that one. And Rule towering over Taylor Hines.
Yeah, really good header in the first instance, wasn't it, from the big Irish centre-half, Caitlin Hayes. We got one of the goals, actually, in that 2-0 victory that knocked the 14-time champions out of the FA Cup, and then Rule gets great elevation. Hines can't really move, but it's always a foul.
It's one of the things that Renee Slagers was asked about in her pre-match media sessions. The threat that Brighton have from set pieces. They are a physically imposing side, especially at the back. Caitlin Hayes, they possess possibly the largest aerial threats in the league, as Frida Mornham can go for goal, and that one was relatively comfortable for Nadozi in the end.
Yeah, it's just great number 10 play from Frida Mornham. Lovely turn, silky smooth, and then she's got this power to just get away from anybody who's trying to get back and get a challenge in, but not enough power on the shot, unfortunately.
Has found game time in recent weeks a bit harder to come by. Alicia Russo dropping a bit deeper, Stina Blackstenius often being deployed just ahead of her. Norda. Sonoda. Show has pace. Holmberg too. It'll be an interesting matchup. Show's kept the Swede honest.
Yeah, it's really good defending from Smilla Holmberg. It was originally the wrong side, but she herself showed good pace to get back and get her body in the way.
Today it's played just 57 minutes of top-flight football since her room to move. Mornham. Dozy is in a strange position now. I'm just not sure whether she had lost track of where her angles were. She's probably quite grateful for the challenge by Minami.
Yeah, good intervention from Minami, but here it is, the switcher play from Tveten put her teammate under all sorts of pressure. And even Tusonda is trying to get back and foul forward, but she couldn't make it. It's a poor ball, really, from Mornham, who knows it, head in her hands.
As mentioned, a 200th appearance for Arsenal for Caitlin Ford this afternoon. 31 years old now. Still flying up and down that flank. Here she is now. From Palova. Oh, and that one so nearly found the back of the net through Lotte Wubben-Moy.
Yeah, it's a really good corner routine, actually, because if my homework is correct, Brighton haven't conceded a goal from a corner in the whole season so far in the WSL, so a bit of invention to rework the angle.
Would have been a bit of a collector's item. Goal from Lotte Wubben-Moy in the BWSL. Minami. Pressure from Russo. Fortunately for the Brighton defender. Snaggers could see the trouble emerging.
I think it's good tenacity and work rate from Russo. You always get that from her, but almost in isolation, going on her own. She'd be disappointed there weren't more red shirts backing her up.
It's a clever pass through the lines. Gotland needs support. And Brighton just happy to keep these passes ticking over.
And I think this is showing the level of confidence that Brighton now have. You know, picking up a draw last week against Manchester United, a win prior to that against Manchester City will give them real belief, not just for this game, but for next season, that they really can compete towards the top of that table, maybe even for Champions League spots in the near future. And a lot of teams, when they have a sniff to get into the opposition half against an Arsenal, would force the ball forward, but really enjoying the football here and looking to recycle.
And the challenge was Fuka Tsunoda. Only 5'1", but put her whole body behind that challenge. Kim Little. Direct from the Arsenal skipper this time. Slaggers behind that one. Sonoda can roll it into the path of Svedten. And again, was well marshalled by Holmberg.
Yeah, what a recovery that is again from Holmberg.
Nice bit of strength and skill. And the ever dexterous Olivia Smith. Every player in blue and white behind the ball. Moy. Smith exchanging passes with Pelova. Camacho can win that one back. It was a loose pass by Codina.
Arsenal playing a dangerous game there. They didn't have much cover. There was an overload on for Brighton. Had that pass from Camacho. Made it through to a teammate.
Camacho will actually be a bit of a familiar face to many Arsenal fans. She was on the bench at Emirates Stadium as Arsenal came from behind to beat Real Madrid 3-2 in last season's Champions League quarter-final. To bide her time, though, in a Brighton shirt, just 10 minutes. She did score her first Brighton goal. 2-1 defeat against Chelsea, although she has been given the nods this evening, so a chance to impress at the end of this campaign.
I think, in fairness, they're just stacked for talent in that department. Frank Kirby, Seke and Hales all having brilliant seasons for Brighton up top. We all worried, didn't we, when they lost Nikita Paris in the off-season, and then they lost Michelle Agerman, only from Arsenal. I think we all had a collective worry for Brighton going forward, but oh well, they've proved us wrong.
Maddie Haley especially seems to have clicked into form in recent weeks. Smith with a good chase here. Dorsey always confident with the ball at her feet. Maybe a couple of hearts and mouths around this stadium. That is lovely. Beautiful turn by Fuka Sonoda. Another player who we haven't seen too much of since a summer arrival from Urara Reds. Only a second BWSL start. We will welcome much more of that. It's a sign of things to come.
And it's infectious, isn't it? You could just see the composure that it's instilling in those around her as well. Just playing with ease around the Arsenal press that's been so devastating across the season.
And losing out. Long. Arsenal really struggling to try to pick apart this Brighton back line so far.
Yeah, and from experience, I think sometimes that comes from impatience, but also tiredness and fatigue. You know, it's hard work to play through teams and play multiple phases and passes, and Arsenal are the top team in the league for that in terms of possession, but it's just forced balls from the back line at the minute that are never going to threaten Brighton. They're already set, and there's no real space in behind.
That's a very good point by Nia. Maybe averages more passes per 90 than Arsenal. Svedten. There's the overlapping run. Smith spotted the danger, taking it away from Slagers.
Yeah, credit to Smith for that good speed, but also willingness to get back. It's not where a player like Olivia Smith wants to be. He wants to be up the other end, full speed into the opposition box, but they're having to be hard working here. They're being kept very honest by Brighton, who are dominating so far.
McLaughlin. Hands it off for Rayner. Slagers. Punching a ball out to that right-hand side. Hayes trying to force the issue that bit more. It's a brilliant pass. Svedten brings it down into her stride, and was just let down by the quality of the cross. But they worked the space so nicely, didn't they, Brighton, moving it around in midfield before releasing Svedten over on that left-hand side.
Yeah, and that's exactly when to use a long ball from the back. They kept it for a long period of time, and you can see Arsenal really are feeling the effects of that trip to France just a few days ago. It's a poor delivery in the end from Svedten, but if they keep up this intensity and they get a couple more bodies in the box, they're going to cause some real damage here.
Pleased with what he's seeing so far. Vidicic. Concern etched on the face of Renee Slagers. She was effusive in her praise for Brighton ahead of this game. As Caitlin Ford looked to burst in behind, it was worth taking on the shot.
Yeah, it was. She fashioned the opportunity for herself in the duel with Caitlin Hayes, who doesn't often come out the wrong side of these types of tackles, does the centre-back, but does well to maintain a balance, but it's a bit of a lash in the end from Ford.
Just the 2 goals for her in the BWSL this season, Caitlin Ford. McLaughlin.
Just see prime example there of she's under a bit of pressure rule when she received the pass, and then they're just happy to drop off. Arsenal haven't got that same zip or pride in their press that we're used to seeing, and obviously that's going to be a bit of physical fatigue and also sadness from being out of that Champions League, something that they obviously are still celebrating from last season, but nobody will be more pleased watching this than probably the players of Manchester City.
It is, as mentioned, a bit of a gruelling schedule for the Gunners after this game on Saturday. And then face Aston Villa. A week today, it's Everton. And of course, Liverpool away to finish. Cannot afford any slip-ups. Moy speeds forward, having that touchline. Nicely done by Holmberg. Dozy will get there ahead of Russo.
Yeah, much better from Arsenal. Bit of quality on the take, wasn't it, from Holmberg? And Frida Mornham got a bit of a free roll in that 10, a drop deep, so lost her marker, made a good run in behind. We always know Dozy's going to have an advanced starting position.
Sonoda. So Brighton dominating the ball at the moment. Arsenal, though, far happier to have shots on goal, one apiece on target so far this evening. Helps it on for McLaughlin. Well, he slips and brings down Smith. She's got a bit of a heavy knock there, the Canadian. Eventually, Callum Jones will blow his whistle and just allow Smith to receive some treatment.
Yeah, they'll be hoping that's not a nasty one. It was just the follow-through. It was accidental. She took a little bit too long to make a decision here, Caitlin Hayes, and then all of a sudden realises she's being closed down. And yeah, I think she catches one on the ankle, does Smith. It wasn't actually that one that Callum Jones, another Jones, can you believe it, gave the foul for.
Just too short of a five-a-side team.
You're not making it in there, Max. We still need 3.
I was thinking I've made a friend, too. Arsenal free kick. Well, happy to leave it for Pullover. Moy up there. That's where it is aimed, and Dozy will be able to catch. Had already been made, though.
Yeah, obviously a good line from Brighton. I think she did well to get her head on it at all. It was a little bit behind her. She had to really crank her neck, did Moy. Can't really see from that angle who did go first. It might have been Moy herself. Nothing to challenge Dozy.
Sonoda first to it. He's able to burst forward as well. To feed Camacho. Moy stands her ground.
Good bit of skill to get herself out of trouble as well for Moy, but will keep the pressure on to Brighton. And Sonoda, the performance she's having so far in this half an hour, really bright. Can't take your eyes off it. And just the way that she's ghosting round the midfield, it's difficult for any one Arsenal player to keep tabs on it. I think they could do with her running ability tonight, Arsenal.
One of the country's finest watching on. goalless here after half an hour, and that's with me. Arsenal be points behind Manchester City. So even if they won all of their 3 remaining games, they would still trail their title rivals by 1 point. They need some inspiration out there, the Gunners. Just from pull over this time, Camacho can capitalise to find Svedten. Back by Ford. Russo has been relatively quiet against their former side. Scored 3 goals in 7 games for Brighton and Hove Albion during the 2017 spring series. And here's Russo going for goal. It was always rising. Did have Nadozi concern for a second or two.
Yeah, and what a way that would have been to say hello to her former fan base. She has had more shots than any other Arsenal player. That will come as no surprise to BWSL fans, but hasn't had much service so far, so no surprise that she's having a pop when she does eventually get the ball.
Does actually have 4 goals against their former side since she left them. That includes 3 for Arsenal. Sonoda with another clever pass. Oh, it's Svedten had gone slightly too early.
Yeah, it's a shame because there was plenty of space there, and she had a runner-up in support as well. Holmberg has the athleticism to get back, and she's proven that already. She's got back the right side when she's been the wrong side, but still warning signs for Arsenal on the back line.
So brought down by Sonoda.
Yeah, and that's something we haven't seen enough of so far in this game, is those rotations from Arsenal. You talk about tiredness, you often just think it's recovery runs and pressing, but actually something Arsenal do so well is how they interchange with each other in possession and into static in these opening stages.
So under pressure from the Nordam. Defended by Hayes. Another stray pass, this time from Taylor Hines.
And it's interesting, actually, we can actually hear Renee Sleggers, can't we, asking Taylor Hines to start even more advanced, a little bit higher up. She seems reluctant to do so.
And back by Russo, there's a shirt pull. Moika Minami. And that will bring a game's first booking.
Oh, that is what you call taking one for the team. It's brilliant from Russo to come out on top of this. She's been faultless so far, Minami, but she's expecting that ball to roll out.
So with 10 minutes remaining of this first half, Arsenal have an opportunity to launch this ball into the box, and it's going to be from trusty, cultured right foot, Smilla Holmberg. 6 goal involvements in just 3 BWSL starts for the 19-year-old Swede. He's going to need plenty of whip, this delivery. Fired in by Holmberg. Shape on it, it will come here for Cordina, who had the ball taken right off her boots.
Yeah, they get the first contact and they're first to the second ball, which is exactly what you need. Defending set pieces. I think it's Camacho in the first instance. It is a good ball in. Gets a little touch on it. And then Rule has to win that off the toe of Cordina, and she does.
Nonsense defending. Caitlin Hayes. And back by Camacho. And here's Rayner. Rousseau. Inviting Smilla Holmberg forward to join the attack on this right-hand side. 2 to aim for inside the penalty area. Brighton very quick to get back into their defensive shape.
Yeah, I think credit to Ollie Slager. She had a decision to make when that ball was sprayed out to Holmberg. Does she commit, or actually does she just drop back in the lane? She made the right choice.
With a Moy. Maybe this time Holmberg will fancy her chances, isolating Ollie Slagers. And again, responds to the task at hand.
Yeah, in fairness, as effective as Holmberg has been, as you say, in the last 3 BWSL matches, unbelievable return from such a young player. She is a little bit predictable in those areas, is always going to favour going to that byline and trying to get a delivery in with that right foot. And the experience of Ollie Slagers, Brighton's player of the season last year, she read that well.
Just getting in a bit of a muddle with her feet. Oh, Charlie Rule to nip in again. Seeing some glimpses of nice interplay, organised defending. With so many changes to the respective starting 11, so many players who at times have been on the periphery of regular football at this level. There is, of course, some rustiness and lack of connection that is to be expected on the pitch, and our fair share of stray passes, that's for sure.
Yeah, and in fairness, if you're going to ask somebody just tuning in who's the team that have got something to play for, on paper it's Arsenal. The league's still within their grasp, mathematically at least, but Brighton coming out like they're the ones with something to really play for, and they're the ones that have got an FA Cup semi-final on Sunday.
Ford helps it on for Mornham. Smith forced a bit wider than she would have liked. Holmberg with a low delivery this time. It's come off Sonoda. Thankfully for those Brighton players, that one goes safely behind for an Arsenal corner.
Yeah, a little bit unorthodox, wasn't it? Sonoda, who's had a brilliant first half, and it's drilled in with some whip from Holmberg. A few bodies it would have had to get past to find a teammate.
Another set piece then. Holmberg to pin from that right-hand side. As you mentioned earlier, Nia, Brighton yet to concede from a set play this season. Hard shout from Nadozi. Hines takes aim and Hines finds the stands.
And they're fortunate they got another opportunity in the second wave there through Taylor Hines, because Nadozi should have caught this corner that came in. It's good that she took command, and we all heard her scream keepers, but opted to punch instead of gather.
As we mentioned, there are lots of options for her to choose from on the bench. Plenty of seasoned international stars. I wonder whether Millie Slagers may be forced into trying a few changes at the interval. Arsenal under her stewardship do tend to start the second half much brighter. Slight worry here for Brighton.
Yeah, it's right under the nose of the referee. See, Palova just has a little look across and it's a barge. I think she just bangs her head on the floor, does Reina.
So Palova, the second name in Callum Jones's book. Actually scored her very first BWSL goal in this fixture 3 years ago. It's a 4-0 win to the Gunners, who have an incredibly favourable record in playing against Brighton. Seagulls winning just one of the previous 15 encounters. See Rosa Kafaji there. The Brighton substitutes, obviously ineligible to play against her parent club this evening. Here's another look at the incident.
Yeah, I think that what's gone against her is it's right under the nose of the referee, and it's a clear look before she collides with Reina. She's just trying to usher her out the way and shepherd her out the way, so her teammate Kadina's got a free header. Thankfully, it looks like Reina will be okay to continue.
And she has received treatment. Brighton, for now, will have to do so with 10 players. Slagers and Svedten stand over this latest set piece.
Ready to react, two-spieler, ready to react! Watch the blocks!
Clipped in by Svedten. Oh, and pounced upon by Sonoda! What an impact she's made! A wonderful first-half showing from the 21-year-old, and she's capped it off with a goal that may well end Arsenal's title bid.
Well, look at the delight, not just on her face, but on her teammates' faces as well. Hasn't played an awful lot of minutes, but what an exciting player in the heart of midfield. She's been the brightest by a country mile for either team in this first half, as Sonoda has kept things ticking over, got Brighton moving. He's made a couple of good defensive interventions, but this, you could hear the instructions coming in from the set-piece coaches. And again, they get the first contact, but as we mentioned, on set pieces, it's the second that's the most important, and she absolutely deserves that. 5'1", you said, Max, but 5'1" of pure magic.
Most diminutive player on the pitch, delivering the biggest of moments, not only for Brighton, but for Manchester City, who will be watching on eagerly. You can almost hear the celebrations echoing throughout the northwest.
And it was Palova, wasn't it, who not only gave away the free kick, but was second best in that duel when it came back out off the head of Kadina.
Wow. As we mentioned, leading into this game, they are on quite the run at the moment, Brighton. And while Arsenal are rattled as we approach the interval, they may fancy doubling their advantage. Off goes Nordam. Victory over Manchester City, cruelly denied victory over Manchester United at the weekend, and now they lead the Gunners by a goal to nil. 2 minutes to be added on for Arsenal to try to hit back. before the break, but look at the fights that Brighton have here, pressing in their numbers. Kim Little wants a bit of support from referee Callum Jones.
Oh, and this says everything about where both squads are at from a mindset perspective. The reaction defensively from Brighton, they're going to have to be good in their box here.
All it was, blocking Hans' cross at the near post. Ford able to duck in field, another low delivery. Keeping the attack alive. So Slaggers is able to clear as far as Lotte Wubben-Moy. Smith. Easily read that by Nordam. Arsenal will come again though. Holmberg's cross this time. He's caught by Nadozi.
Yeah, excellent communication. Read that situation really well. Again, they're not happy to protect this, not happy to just nick a goal against the top team and sit back and protect it. They want to finish this season on a real high, Brighton.
Bit of an awkward landing for Codina. Former Real Madrid player Camacho straight over to the former Barca star.
There wasn't much love in that hug, was there?
Much one for the cameras, I think. Berg, is their time? She's into the penalty area here. Smila Holmberg, inviting cross, and what a header that is. A necessary intervention by Caitlin Hayes.
It really was, and gets deserved high fives from everybody around her in the penalty area. It's nice combination play. Doesn't even look Mornham, just knows that Holmberg's going to continue the run, and Russo was ready to pounce.
Arsenal will be allowed to take this corner. Callum Jones blows his whistle for half-time, so one of the usual aerial threats up there. As Hines delivers low, and that is wasteful. Well, Brighton are starting to develop somewhat of a reputation as giant killers in the BWSL in recent weeks, and it's an unlikely hero here so far. Fuka Tsunoda giving her side the lead after a masterclass in midfield, which may potentially take the league away from Arsenal. Half-time is Brighton 1, Arsenal 0.
Trying something clever, nice idea, Ebony Salmon.
Just looking at that free kick again from Wilms, just recognising that gap in the West Ham defence.
Up the line from Delande. Oh, beautiful pass, Ebony Salmon onside here. Brilliant double stop, it might not be enough. Lynn Wilms, wow. Treble chance for Aston Villa in the space of 5 seconds. Superb from Megan Walsh. Ueki has scrapped very well here. Oh, and a huge deflection, big chance. How's that not gone in? They're screaming for handball. Vandela on the rebound. Well, we've come so close to a goal at both ends, we've actually had one at neither. Then you have to wait to see if there's a flick, and that is how it comes in. It drops here for Jean-Francois. Walsh is there in the closing ranks around her. I think that was Nystrom who just shoveled it away.
See here, they just drop early because of that. It's Zellum who drops in, doesn't get a clearance on it.
Hijikata off. Daly on. One of this league's finer forwards for a long time.
But to have the captain back on the pitch, I mean, mentally is a huge, huge boost.
Here's Una Siren for West Ham. Fired it in, but what a touch from Ueki! Oh, what a goal from Ueki! 5 minutes to play. They haven't looked like scoring all game long. That is brilliant. The controlling touch to start with was pretty magical. The finish even more so. Aston Villa 0, West Ham 1. Rico Ueki with only her second league goal of the season. Such a hard worker.
Well, it's just that press, and it's exactly where you want Ueki to be, higher up. And what a touch. Falls onto her left. She has a little look up, and it's a brilliant, brilliant goal from her. And this player here is going to get player of the match for me. She's dropping in, she's helping her team so much defensively, dropping in.
And look at that, she's just flicked it on, and this could seal it. Pubel, 2-0! Player of the match performance, all right. A goal and an assist from Ueki. Both of them brilliant. And Serena Pubel has her first WSL goal of the season.
Just that flick on, it's really, really nice. And obviously Pubel's got to be ready for that. What a finish from her, very calm. Must be her third, fourth touch of the game. Does well. Villa can't allow that to happen, to run in between them, but Ueki, huge, huge performance.
And it's West Ham's day, 2-0 the final score.
So just the one goal separates these two sides at the interval, and it's going to the one that not many would have expected. Brighton leading, so that means that mathematically, even if Arsenal were to win their remaining 3 games, they would not be able to catch league leaders Manchester City. So as things stand, Manchester City will be lifting their first Barclays Women's Super League title in 10 years. Let's take a look at some of the best moments from that first half. Brighton, by far, started this game the faster of the two sides. Molly Saggers able to earn a bit of space here, and Tvedten very, very nearly finding a way past Van Domselaar before Camacho headed over the bar.
Yeah, started brilliantly, didn't they? And then it was just a question of whether they can continue that for the whole first half, and they did.
Arsenal did, before that, have a chance to hit back. Frida Mornham tearing forward, but unfortunately for the Norwegian, just failed to apply the same level of power to the strike that her run probably deserved. Brighton have been quite keen to play out from the back, and Caitlin Ford was keen to capitalise there. Just taking it away from Caitlin Hayes, but firing well over the crossbar.
Yeah, usually so reliable, Nordum, and Hayes as well in the duels, but been reduced to shots from distance, Arsenal.
Including this one here. Not too many chances for Alessia Russo in the first half, but that one was travelling.
Yeah, it's the first time we've really seen Alessia Russo in this game.
Spieler ready to react. Watch the blocks.
This was the key moment. Arsenal dealt with the first ball, but it was when it came back out to Tsunoda via a deflection. It doesn't matter. Look at the celebrations that sparked. Her second in the BWSL this season. And she has been their standout player for the Seagulls.
Yeah, you can see the disappointment on Van Domselaar's face, but it's just the speed of Sisonda, how she reacts to it, gets good contact on it as well. It's coming through a lot of bodies, but fine getting the first contact. Palova needs to get her body in to win the second. Credit to Tsunoda, she deserved that goal.
That was right at the end of the first half, which means Arsenal have it all to do after the break.
A new chapter begins in the Barclays Women's Super League 2, and this one could change everything.
Look up to the skies with the wolves on the ground in the wild.
Come on, let's go.
Right now is the time. Feel the blood and the sweat and the cries.
Will she go for goal again? She does next time!
It's Wellings again! Forest have turned this game on its head.
Opens it towards Brady! Charlton continue to dominate the BWSL 2.
And it's goal number 7, a dominant Bristol City win. They were ruthless.
The Tyne-Wear Derby is always a seminal day on the football calendar.
The derby games are special and you want to play in the big stadiums with the big crowds. You always want that buzz. It's incredible.
Murphy letting fly and finding the back of the net. Newcastle United have won the Tyne-Wear Derby.
And when I rise, take a look in my eyes. I ain't gonna forget everything I survived.
It is Hayley Ladd, and it's brilliant! A debut free kick goal for Hayley Ladd. It's Watson with the delivery, it's high, it's looping, it's in! And Durham have nicked a point against the high flyers Birmingham. Rolls it across the penalty area, Peskin! The most precious of 3 points for Ipswich Town. New hope of survival. Great skill. As the ball taken inside, oh, what a goal!
Playing for Palace, it was kind of the first club where I felt a home and a family feel to it.
We've seen it progress into being full-time, being at the academy every day, being treated like a true professional.
We've experienced a lot of the South London derbies against Charlton.
We need to take that 3 points from them and hopefully put on a good show at Sellers.
The race for promotion to the top flight really hots up.
Through the crowd it goes from Hayley Ladd. Bringing it across, there's the header, there's the goal! The race for promotion takes another twist.
Come on!
Momentum is key at this stage of the campaign.
It's unforgettable. Unforgettable. Unforgettable.
Flicked on by Broom and into the back of the net. Portsmouth are relegated.
There is only one game in town tonight, which will go a long way towards deciding who will be crowned champions of Barclays WSL 2.
Crossthwaite controls perfectly and gets the shot away and scores! A season-shaping goal from Lily Crossthwaite. Graham is shooting and Graham is scoring!
And the script has been torn up by the travelling tractor girls.
The title goes down to the final day of the season.
This means everything. Which colour will those ribbons hang in a couple of hours' time?
Hughes confirms Crystal Palace's place in the Barclays Women's Super League.
Might yet fall for Lanehammer,
who stands it into the top corner. The Swede doubles up. Birmingham are the champions.
Welcome back to Crawley. And Arsenal know that they have a mountain to climb if they are to prolong this title race in the Barclays Women's Super League. It has been an immensely frustrating and energy-sapping week for these Gunners. Also their Champions League semi-final exit on the weekend, and now from Lyon to West Sussex. An incredibly tough task ahead of them against the Brighton and Hove Albion side, who have been very difficult to break down. So they have called upon reinforcements in the form of Mariona Caldente, who is so used to unlocking defences across the country.
Yeah, not surprised. Renee Sleggers has opted to make a change already at the halfway point. They need to get hold of the football, create something, and there's nobody better in the BWSL than Mariona Caldente. She didn't have her best match in that semi-final defeat to Lyon. Has played an awful lot of football this season, looked tired at times, but they're going to hope she's feeling a bit fresher now.
She will slot in alongside Kim Little in a very familiar midfield pairing. Would imply that Victoria Pelova has been withdrawn. Brighton unchanged to this second half. Caldente looking to not only get up to the pace of the game, but inject tempo into it.
Yeah, already in the opening 30 seconds, Caldente with 3 or 4 really good touches, and as you said, keen to get things moving from a free kick. She's been sent on with one instruction, and that's to up the tempo for the Gunners.
She herself had a really difficult afternoon against Lyon on Saturday. Really out of character performance from the Spaniard, especially on the European stage, where we know that she so often thrives. Little. Cut out by Sonoda. That Arsenal currently on a 13-game unbeaten run in this competition. Brighton so far doing what not many have been able to do across the course of this campaign.
Oh, it's important to highlight as well, Arsenal have only lost 1 game in the league all season. Remarkable, really, that they're sat in 3rd.
Here comes Holmberg, pulling it back for Russo. And by her standards, that is a clear-cut opportunity.
Yeah, already an improved performance, improved pace from Arsenal. Holmberg getting to that byline, as she often does, but it's an intelligent cutback. Plenty of Brighton defenders in the way, but Russo usually so clinical and potent from this type of area, at least expected to hit the target.
Corina. It's turning into a very different game on Arsenal than the one that they experienced last time out, where they were just able to do as they pleased against Leicester City. They actually had 16 shots on target in that match. Only once have they ever had more in BWSL history. Actually, when you look at this season as a whole, they've had 10 or more shots on target in 4 different league matches across the campaign. Only Manchester City have done so more often. They have really struggled to work, Adozi, between the Brighton posts this evening.
It's a bit of a away start from Brighton. Moy did well to step out in the first instance, but then when the centre-half is out, I think we need to be more composed with how you try and hurt them.
Nomsala looking to angle one into the path. Holmberg, that was well read. Slaggers over on that far side. Save for Holmberg. Another good area to cross. Pull back, and there was Hines arriving. It was McLaughlin who did just enough to throw her off her stride.
Yeah, it's interesting seeing the start position of Taylor Hines already in the second half, much higher up the pitch than we saw her for the entirety of the first half. Holmberg again getting the ball in, asking the question of Brighton's defence, but they're equal to it. But I think we can expect to see more of that. Holmberg is always pretty advanced up the pitch, but we could hear Renee Sleggers asking Hines to do the same on the left-hand side.
Always handy having a Chloe Kelly to call upon from the bench. And fans know only too well. And it goes by rule. Ford won't be able to keep that one in play. I guess there has been so much attention on Arsenal and what is at stake here in the title race, but it shouldn't underplay is that it is a very exciting time to be associated with Brighton. It is looking like it's going to be potentially a record points total this season. They will, it seems, look to finish 6th this season as well. They're building on those strong foundations. There was, of course, the announcement of this proposed bespoke women's football stadium to be opening adjacent to the Amex as well. Some really big plans in this part of the country.
Yeah, brilliant, purpose-built just for the women's team. £80 million project that is due to be finished in 2030, 2031, so absolutely a statement made by the club.
That shows Spons van Domselaar a long way off her line. I admire the audacity with strikes like that, but in hindsight, maybe Camacho felt as though rolling the ball across to a teammate may have been a better idea.
Yeah, you can understand why. There's not an awful lot of options. McLaughlin was threatening to get forward, but if she gets the execution of that a little bit better, Van Domselaar might have been more worried.
Caldente. First touch by Hines, the second finds Ford. It's Caitlin Ford! And it is a vital fingertip stop by Nadozi, who hasn't had to do a lot this evening, but when called upon, she will always answer.
That's a lovely clip in behind into the path of Taylor Hines, who is now reaping rewards from being higher up the pitch, and it's sharp from Ford to cut inside, and I thought there was too much power on it from too close a range for Nadozi, but she does really well, the Nigeria #1.
Only Janina Leipzig and Lisa Kopp have made more saves than the Nigerian in this division this season. It's an example of why. Fired in from that right-hand side, away by Rule. Given away, though, by Sonoda. It's pass, took a ricochet off Morn, and it does work its way out to that far side. Holmberg, again, a drop of the shoulder. Rayner able to block the cross from coming in. Little for Caldente. Mariona Caldente Really stinging the palms of Ndozi.
You can hear the excitement whenever Caldente is on the football, but also this is where they want to see her, at the edge of the box. We know she's got the talent to threaten the goalkeeper. They're right behind that goal of the Arsenal fans, willing it in.
So trying to prod it into the path forward. Get a second chance here. Off goes Olivia Smith, and to get that one right, although the free kick was already given by Callum Jones on the halfway line.
I think good officiating to see if there was an advantage. Were it not for a good, timely intervention from Minami, she might have been in.
Wubbemoy. Caldente on the move. Here is Mariona Caldente again. Causing all sorts of problems for that Brighton midfield. It was Fuka Sonoda who tracked her run every step of the way.
Oh, she's almost covered more blades of grass in this opening 10 minutes than any of her teammates did in the first half, Caldente. She's been absolutely everywhere. Dropping in deep, getting it off the centre halves, getting things moving, but also making those line-breaking runs in behind.
Olivia Smith has been given more of a nuisance. Chris Bradley, the Arsenal set-piece coach. He goes towards Codina and it's deflected behind. It will be another Arsenal corner.
Yeah, Nordam in the way. Dozy just needs to not get distracted by the presence of Smith. She's more than entitled to stand in front of the goalkeeper.
Another Holmberg delivery fired in. Russo trying to climb to get there. It's back towards goal and even under the pressure of Frida Mornham. Dozy was confident enough to stand her ground and claim. Here comes Rule.
Already you can see the improved aggression in the Arsenal press. Mornham on that occasion just putting them under more pressure, rushing them a little bit in possession and eventually cough up an error.
These are grounds that they quite typically enjoy coming to, Arsenal. They've kept a clean sheet and scored at least 3 times in each of their 6 victories here in the past. No clean sheet today. Fuka Sonoda made sure of that. Off goes Holmberg. Plenty of pace. Ndozi had a really good starting position.
Yeah, she did. It was actually on, I think, about a second earlier from Caldente. She was just trying to wriggle free in the midfield to free up her foot to deliver the pass to Holmberg.
Lovely take that one by Camacho. Sonoda so composed in possession. There are plenty of players trying to get into Brighton's midfield. Lots of Maisie Simons, Nina Chankovic, they're regular starters in that area, but I would love to see much more of Fuka Sonoda. It's a real shame that we've only been limited to restricted minutes. The 21-year-old Japan international this season.
Yeah, she joins a long list, doesn't she, of amazing Japanese players in the BWSL, so technical and intelligent.
Speaking of which, Arsenal have a chance made by their own technical midfielder in Mariona Caldente. The ball through the lines to find Caitlin Ford, and they were queuing up in the middle. Were it not for Brighton scampering back.
Well, if there's one player Brighton need to get a little bit closer to if they're going to protect this lead, it's Caldente.
Well, Morgan went to ground, asking the question. Callum Jones unmoved.
Well, I didn't see Rule get the ball. Again, it's the creativity, the ball around the corner. It's a brilliant take as well from Mornham, and she does take out that standing leg. Does Rule nowhere near the ball.
Arsenal were at the mercy of a number of VAR decisions in the Champions League semi-final on the weekend. They don't have the benefit of that this evening. I do wonder if when Callum Jones has another look at that one, he may change his mind somewhat.
I think it's here. She does well because it's an awkward one, the way it bounces, and Rule knows she's lost the foot race, and she leans into that trailing leg of Mornham. And Arsenal feel really hard done by here in a week where they've been frustrated by refereeing decisions. It's a clear foul for me from Rule. They got away with it, Brighton.
So now on the clock. Manchester City can't start celebrating just yet. Plenty of time to come in this game. As you can see, sitting pretty at the top of the BWSL for now.
And in fairness, I think it shows how far the BWSL has come, that it's not a given by any means that Manchester City were going to get past Liverpool. They were made to work really hard on the weekend, and this one as well, exactly the same.
In space here for Taylor Hines, back with Caitlin Ford. Caldente takes over. And is going to run away from Russo.
Yeah, but at least it's added a little bit of unpredictability and innovation to Arsenal's play. She's popping up all over the place, which again makes it so difficult if you're Brighton to know who should be picking her up and who should be closing her down. As long as her teammates around her keep making those runs, she will find them eventually. Hello.
There is the triple change that we were expecting at some point in this second half from Renee Slagers. Really nicely done by Russo. Here's Frida Morgan. And Arsenal are back level. A lovely combination between Alessia Russo and Frida Morgan. And just like that, the away end has picked up in volume. And they can begin to believe again.
Well, they've been so much better in the second half of Arsenal. And it's the first time, really, we've seen the number 9 and the number 10 on the night. Mornham and Russo really combining. Hopeful ball forward from Hines, but look at the turn from Russo and the way she just draws in players. They know how dangerous she is and how fine of a season she's having, and that's a terrific finish from Mornham. Notices her teammates dropped in, knows she has to run in behind and tucks it away really tidily. It's almost like they saw some attacking changes on the sideline and sprung into life, Arsenal.
Her 5th goal in the BWSL against Brighton. She loves to play against the Seagulls, Frida Mornham. Those are back-to-back games for her now as well. I think on the back of the net against Leicester City last time out. Ford nips away from her compatriot Rule. Arsenal now with a spring in their step.
She's going to tease her about that on Matilda's camp, isn't she? Great nutmeg from Ford.
Here comes McLaughlin, though. Medina with plenty of ground to make up. Now Rule inside the penalty area. Marioni didn't want to make the challenge. It's Rayner! Domsalar's knees in the way. Still, Brighton come forward. This game has just sparked into life. Hayes. Nordam. Sonoda, Brighton's goal scorer. Look at the time here. Oh, McLaughlin to make her decision, although Callum Jones is just going to call on the physios here. Charlie Rule has an issue.
Yeah, I'm not sure he gave a foul. I think he just notices a little head-on-head action. Yes, he does, and he does the right thing, the referee. Which did really well, McLaughlin, because numbers did arrive eventually. Brilliant footwork from the right-back Rule. And she does well, Rayner, to fashion any type of angle to get a shot off. Fortunately for her, it's straight at Van Domselaar. Makes a good, smart save with the legs. A good reaction, this, from Brighton in response to Arsenal's equaliser.
Really crucial stop from Daphne Van Domselaar to deny Max Rayner. So now Arsenal will make those changes. The first one, goal scorer Frida Mornan making way for Stina Blackstenius. It's going to see Alessia Russo a bit deeper to provide the link between midfield and attack. Katie McCabe on. It's a like-for-like change at left-back, replacing Taylor Hines. And a warm welcome back to action for Beth Mead, replacing Olivia Smith on the right side of Arsenal's attack.
Yeah, brilliant to see Beth Mead back in the matchday squad and now on the pitch as well. Big boost for Arsenal in these last few games.
As is to be expected when one team makes a triple substitution. It's only right that the other matches that and makes our lives that bit more complicated in trying to keep up with what's going on. Eddie Haley's going to be the first one, replacing Carla Camacho.
I think she's led the line really well, Camacho. She didn't have too many opportunities on goal, but in terms of the other things you expect from a centre-forward in their press and their way they stretched the back line of Arsenal, particularly in the first half, I think she did a good job, Camacho.
Manuela Venegas and Kiko Seike also coming on. Minami leaving the pitch. May be a bit of a reshuffle defensively. Serena also being replaced.
I'm very relieved you've been writing all of those down, Max. Interesting, just shows that both teams really thinking they can push for a winner here.
Sonoda unable to take the pace of that pass from Haley. He's been showing a bit more licence to get forward in this second half, though. Fuka Sonoda. First involvement for Blackstenius, unable to take that one in her path. Beth Mead roared on by the travelling fans. Dente arriving on the edge of the penalty area. Number 2 deliver, it's going to go out for another Arsenal corner.
No, they're taking no risk whatsoever, Brighton, getting back in really good numbers, and which was left a little bit too much space. Holmberg seems to have a bit of a whack underneath her right eye as well, but Ollie Slaggers did get out in the nick of time to stop the cross.
Reminder that a point is not enough to prevent Manchester City from lifting the WSL title this evening. 22 minutes for Arsenal to nudge their noses in front. In from McCabe. Another big header. Defensive clearance by Caitlin Hayes right inside her own 6-yard box, and No concern for Maddie Haley, who has only just come on. Really crowded area of the pitch there.
Yeah, they deserve huge credit for having that start so far. Bit of a head clash between Hayes and Haley, both trying to get first contact on it, but so much is spoken about with set pieces and how teams set up. Do they go man marking or do they go zone, or whatever Brighton are doing so far? It's working from a setup perspective, but it's also that side of actually just wanting to put your head where it hurts, and I think that epitomises them so far from corners, is that absolutely determined to get first contact on it, and a good clearance away.
She'll be pleased with the response that she's seen from her side in this second half, Renee Slagers. It's good to see Maddie Haley back to her feet and looking ready to come back on as well. There's another look at that table. So Arsenal 10 points. And Manchester City just the 9 up for grabs after this. Mead into the channel. Stennis threatening to get in behind Venegas. Brighton again holding their line very effectively.
Yeah, it's one area of the game that still needs to work on. She's a terrific striker, absolute goal machine, particularly for her nation of Sweden, and is having her finest goal-scoring season so far in the BWSL for Arsenal, but does often stray offside to the frustration of those fans behind the goal. Took no chances, did Venegas.
Pulled down by Seike. We have a really intriguing final 20 minutes ahead of us. Brighton's changes suggest that they're not quite done attacking just yet.
Brilliant work from the Colombian international, and actually Slegers described Brighton as brave prior to the game, and again, when you hear the words like brave, you assume it's in things like tackles and duels, but actually I think what she meant is in possession, in tight areas, and they've shown that in abundance again tonight.
Full ball into the channel for Blackstenius. Not quite at panic stations territory just yet for Arsenal. Oh, picking up the loose ball. Nordan. Little. Oh, looking for Mead over on the opposite side of the pitch. It's easily cut out. Venegas able to step out of defence and find Sonoda. McLaughlin held her width. It's a great ball through, looking for Seike. Callum Jones is spared potentially a Title-deciding decision there by his official over on this near side, who flagged for offside.
Yeah, I'm not sure who will be more relieved to see this flag go up. Kadina, who is totally the wrong side. You can see she's trying to get goal side of Seike, and it's a clear pull back. And as you say, the referee gratefully doesn't have to make that call, because could she possibly have been denying a goal-scoring opportunity as well?
Another change for Brighton. A local icon, Maisie Simons, coming on in place of Charlie Rule. The longest-serving player coming on to see out the game for them. In fact, it's the only match this season in the BWSL that she's not started, their number 8. So again, when we think ahead to the FA Cup semi-final against Liverpool on Saturday, just trying to keep her wrapped up in cotton wool. And the chance to play at Wembley in their first ever final, Brighton. Off goes Russo. Ardente. Jones in the way of that one. It will be a drop ball. We are into the final 15 minutes. Nobody has scored more goals in the final 15 minutes of BWSL games this season than Arsenal. So if you are wondering whether this is all this game is going to be, well, there may well be one final twist, one final sting in this tale. Well, typically when we talk it up like that, it just seems to peter out a bit. But these two sides are keen to finish their respective seasons strongly. Brighton still, of course, pushing for their best ever BWSL points tally, so plenty to play for from their side too. Venegas, ported by Ruben Moy. Svete. Stenius to creep in around the back. Plenty of space here for Katie McCabe. That delivery, though, lacking the usual quality that we associate with her.
Yeah, it's disappointing for Arsenal because they'd worked the space down the left-hand side really nicely. Brighton happy to sit in that low block and really congest the pitch, block off those passing lanes to the strikers, but it meant that McCabe had acres of space to work the ball in.
Manages to get away from McLaughlin. And used her body to good effect by way of recovery.
Yeah, really well worked in the first instance by Ford, actually. Good to see her being positive, taking on McLaughlin, but then as she chooses to cut back inside, it's good backup, actually, from Nordum to get in, help her teammate out once she was beaten.
caught in possession. Really looking to burst through. Nordam will be able to put it forward. It's Maddie Haley. And that is a brilliant challenge by captain Kim Little.
Well, they must have had deja vu, Arsenal, of the exact goal that Haley scored against them in that FA Cup quarter-final. It's almost an identical angle as it spills out to her, coming out on top of 2 or 3 duels in a row. Brighton, what an intervention that is from the 35-year-old.
36 this month, Kim Little. Still got years ahead of her at this level. Where Brighton corner fired in. Medina away initially. Saka back for Slaggers. McCabe can now get her head down and start motoring down the other end. It's got 10. Penalised there for handball.
I think they've done that side of the game. Some may call it cynical, Brighton, but when they've been a little bit up against it and susceptible to a break, they've just broken up play. Stopped any rhythm that Arsenal have threatened to build in this game. Would have frustrated them.
As a reminder, as we get into the final 10 minutes here, a draw is not enough for Arsenal. Only 3 points will do, otherwise Manchester City will be celebrating their first BWSL title in 10 years this evening. One more Arsenal change in the offing. Their final roll of the dice. Chloe Kelly ready to come on. That's out by Codina. Look at the time and space here for Caitlin Ford. 3 to aim for inside the penalty area. The cross was met by Saka first. Arsenal have themselves a corner, 8 minutes. Ticking by at an alarmingly fast rate.
Yeah, she's holding her width really well in the second half, Caitlin Ford, and it's causing the Brighton backline a bit of a headache. We want to stay nice and connected together as a back four.
Very deliberately placed on the spot by Smilla Holmberg. This delivery have the same precision. Let's see if Brighton have anything to do with it. There's McLaughlin, who was underneath the initial cross in. And Hayes as well, just making a real nuisance of herself for Arsenal's attackers. At times, seems like she's a magnet to the ball. Caitlin Hayes when it goes into those aerial positions. And here is that change. Caitlin Ford making way for Chloe Kelly. Back after a muscle complaint to come off the bench against Lyon on Saturday. She did miss Leicester last time out, but otherwise did start the previous 3 in the BWSL. Included in that was a stunning goal against West Ham United.
Well, she's certainly no stranger to big goals, late goals, is she, Chloe Kelly, for club and country?
They would do for another moment of magic from her. Stina Blackstenius turns away from Venegas. Has battled back very diligently, and at the expense though of an Arsenal throw-in. Mies, Holmberg, only one way she was going. Mead will fire in the follow-up, it's flicked on. And It was an easy save in the end. A bit of a snapshot of an effort from Alessia Russo.
Yeah, probably haven't done that enough today, Arsenal. Actually just get a good delivery into the box towards the head of Alessia Russo. It's a half chance for anybody else. It's a good chance if you're her. Standards are so high.
Push forward by Mead. Here's Stenius. Pass could go anywhere. Dozy gets another chance to showcase her footwork.
Oh, I tell you what, she is very entertaining, the Dozy. I don't think that was ever going to go down as an intentional back pass had she chosen to just pick it up. And a Vargy-Bargy from Chloe Kelly. She has to get a foot on that, or Seike might not have beaten Chloe Kelly to it, but then it's just the follow-through.
It hasn't taken her long to make her mark on proceedings, although not what she would have had in mind.
Oh, she will be probably the most determined of anybody in Arsenal red not to let the title be decided today to her former team, Manchester City.
The former Chelsea star, Fran Kirby. She will see this as an opportunity to a bit of a sucker punch on the old enemy in Arsenal. She comes on in place of Ulla Tvete.
I've been so impressed with her in this Brighton team this season, Fran Kirby. From a stats perspective, 2 goals, 3 assists, but her general play, if you watch her live for 90 minutes, the way she controls everything good that Brighton does, brings others into play.
Comes on in search of her 6th BWSL goal against Arsenal. One of those coming in this very fixture last season as she turns away from Wubben-Moy effortlessly. Ronnie Slagers into action on that far side. Here's Sonoda. Back in by Venegas. That's going to be routine for Van Domselaar. So Modena. That's Stenius, always a willing runner. The only player inside the penalty area. She'll settle for a corner.
Excellent defending from McLaughlin again. Ball over the top from Cadena was a good one, but it's delivered at the right foot, so it's always swerving away from the goal for Blackstenius. Kelly was up in support. She'd have got a little call from behind.
Berg fires in another cross. Once more, it's Brighton who are able to clear their lines. Was in there challenging. So many players in blue and white blocking the route through to goal.
They look like a team who just absolutely love defending corners, the Brighton.
Sonoda. We're hearing 6 minutes will be added on at the end of this game. That is an announcement that is sure to galvanise the travelling Arsenal fan base. It's always asking a lot of this Arsenal team to be able to close the gap to Manchester City, but it is still a mathematical possibility. Sure, those players out there would have wanted to take this to the final day. There is confirmation. And that is their response.
Get in the box, Stina Les! Stina Les in the box!
Ronnie Slagers across to that as well, telling her two strikers to get into the penalty area for this ball from Meads. And Nadozie again, very proactive in coming off her line.
Yeah, I think we can expect to see a little bit more of that in these closing 5 or so minutes, as Arsenal just really trying to push and get as many balls into that penalty area, ask more and more questions of Nadozie, who's copped a fair bit of flack from the fans right behind her for 45 minutes.
Holmberg able to get across in. It's me picking up the pieces. Say, just about managing to shuffle that one out to Holmberg. Moy now joining the action. Brighton penalty area. Less than 5 to play. Real option there for Van Domselaar, rather than to just hook it forwards. Kirby leading the press for the Seagulls.
Yeah, and in fairness, Brighton will be just as excited to see 6 minutes go up on the fourth official's board. They'll believe that they can get something now, especially if Arsenal keep committing defenders forward.
McCabe holding off Saker, drawing the foul, and she'll be keen to get this one going as quickly as possible before Callum Jones can book Kiko Saker.
Yeah, again, it just stems the momentum that actually that interception from McCabe had built up.
Back in towards Russo, it's Blackstenius, the ball wouldn't quite drop, was that a hand? A head injury is indicated instead. There were strong appeals from the Arsenal players. The play will be stopped here.
Yeah, Kadina is fuming with whatever she saw. And the whistle was blown. I think hearts were in mouths. We weren't sure what was given. Venegas up against Russo. He's not a player who goes down very easily. Well, she gets a clear header on the ball, does Venegas, whether there's a stray arm in there as well. It's actually a handball against Blackstenius eventually, I think, on the clearance from Brighton.
Here's how Brighton and Hove Albion were able to take the lead in this game. Sonoda getting a bit fortunate with the deflections, but her work rate has been rewarded with a second strike this season before Frida Morning was able to level just on the hour mark. But since then, even though Arsenal have ramped up the pressure, Brighton have responded so well. There has been no further way through that blue and white wall protecting Chiamaka Nnadozi's goal. Mordan was looking to escape in behind. Sliding out. Managed to get the ball forward quickly. She is delaying the Dutch international. Time desperately running out for Arsenal to remain in this title race. And Kirby's going to do her bit here as well.
Just runs out of play. I think she's probably hoping to find the feet of Sonoda and try and keep it for as long as possible near that corner flag. Not sure now how long is left. Given that slight injury to Russo, she's now back on the pitch.
Holmberg, players in red and white streaming forward in support. Here is Beth Mead. Holmberg, they need something here, Arsenal. Not that.
Yeah, delivery has been pretty consistent so far, usually off that right foot, but now they've got it sussed and forcing her back inside. You could see she was looking for a shorter option to try and work it through, but a deserved Barclays player of the match for Fuka Sonoda. Not just the goal, but her overall performance with and without the ball in the heart of midfield has been terrific. And a miscontrol from McCabe, cheered almost as loudly as that Sasonda goal from the Brighton fans. And McLaughlin will take all the time in the world.
Goes Stina Blackstenius trying to keep pace. Still we wait for Callum Jones to blow his whistle. I guess happy to just clear her lines. Is there a chance for one last attack for Arsenal? 98 minutes on the clock now. Launched forward by McCabe. It's going to fall here for Holmberg. To drag that one back out wide into a crossing position. Now, Mead. That one's going to be easy for Sonoda to deal with. Caldente. Arsenal corner right at the end of this game. He needs some real quality on this delivery. And Daphne van Domselaar is up as well.
Yeah, final kick of the game has to be. What a moment this would be. We've spoken about how brilliant Brighton have been all season at defending corners. Comes down to this.
Almost every Arsenal player inside the Brighton penalty area. It's curled in towards the near post, and Codina flicks it over the bar. And that is the final whistle, which means the wait is over for Andre Jeglerts and co. And there will be fireworks in Manchester tonight. A draw here is enough to confirm that Manchester City are the Barclays Women's Super League champions for the first time in 10 years. The title race is over now before the final day, and City, I'm sure, will be raising a glass to Brighton to thank them for it. The Seagulls were excellent tonight. They took the lead through Tsunoda. Frida Morgan pulled one back, but it wasn't enough for Arsenal. As it finishes here, Brighton 1, Arsenal 1. Well, Nia Jones, plenty to discuss during that game, but firstly, let's start here with Brighton's performance, because we shouldn't overlook that in the grand scheme of things.
No, absolutely not, and they might go away from this one disappointed that they didn't come out with 3 points, given the level of performance they put out, particularly in the first half. They were dominant, they were tidy in possession, they were brave in the way that they built from the back, they were causing Arsenal's backline all sorts of problems with their movement. And if you looked at the changes they made to their starting lineup, you would have been forgiven for thinking that Arsenal still, even with a slight hangover from the Champions League, had too much quality. But the energy that Brighton showed really gave them a foothold in the game, and they absolutely deserved that point tonight.
It was always going to be a big ask for Arsenal to close the mighty gap that Manchester City had established at the top of the league table, but it's a particularly gutting result following the performance at the weekend as well.
Yeah.
Well, Brighton really came out here with a point to prove, didn't they? Early on, testing Daphne van Domselaar from close range through Tvedten.
And showed their intent, even in the opening minute. The amount of bodies that were forward from them, shot on target in the first couple of minutes from Tvedten.
Camacho then flicking over the bar from close range. Frida Morgan then threatens down the other end, galloping forwards, but unable to get the better of Ndozi from range.
Yes, the first time that we saw Morgan really get on the ball in that area, just in front of the Brighton backline.
And then Alessia Russo decided to line one up as well. A similar distance, similar result in that she was unable to find the back of the net. Then this was the telling moments in the first half. Arsenal failing to clear from that free kick. And Fuka Tsunoda, the player of the match today, rattling that one in.
Yeah, I just love how quickly she is to actually react to this and bring it down expertly. The deflection off the back of Vubben Moy just takes it slightly away from Van Domselaar, but credit to Tsunoda, who was excellent.
And then Arsenal came roaring forward in the second half. It started so quickly after the break. Bit of added impetus, an injection of pace down that right-hand side, and Russo should have done better. You would expect her to do better there. But again, the Gunners really exploiting those wide areas in the second half. Hines found forward, and it required an excellent stop by Ndozi to tip that one over.
Yeah, she had another good afternoon, didn't she, Ndozi? Had to be equal to this one from Ford, because she gets plenty of power behind the shot.
Arsenal were continuing to up the pressure here. When Morgan went through, there was a huge shout for a penalty from those Arsenal fans behind the Brighton goal.
Yeah, she just gets the wrong side here, Rule. And there's not loads of contact, but there's absolutely enough to take out that standing leg of Morgan.
Jones didn't give anything there. Arsenal didn't waste any time coming forward again. Rousseau to Mornan, and Mornan finding the bottom corner to level.
Yeah, it's just brilliant forward play in the first instance from Rousseau on the turn. So dangerous. She's not benefiting from a through ball. She's providing one for a teammate. It's a terrific finish from Mornan.
Brighton weren't, though, content with holding Arsenal for a draw. Rule breaking through again. Bex Rayner on the turn, denied by the legs of Van Domselaar.
Such intricate play from Brighton. And this is why they've been entertaining to watch all season, but particularly tonight.
Arsenal beginning to throw the kitchen sink at it. And this ball coming in here from Beth Mead, met at the near post by Rousseau. It was always going to be a tough ask from there. So, Nia Jones, where does that leave Arsenal?
Well, it's looking at their league overall. You know, they lost one game, but I think where they've been undone, that's what a lot of their fans have said they've been frustrated by, is they've drawn too many matches where they have had a lot of the ball. They've put some good passages of play together. They've got quality and abundance on the pitch and on the bench as well, but haven't turned those draws into wins when other teams like City and Chelsea maybe have got over the line. And congratulations must go to Manchester City, who have been overall the best team all season long, the most consistent team, the most unpredictable team. And bit of a transition period for Sleggers and her team. We've heard some rumours of some big stars possibly leaving this summer, but they've still got plenty to build on. They'll be disappointed, of course, a club like Arsenal to finish any season without any silverware, but I think tonight credit has to go to Brighton.
Well, of course, there is no time for Arsenal to reflect on this one for too long, because they are soon to be straight back in league action again. The only BWSL game taking place this weekend is away to Aston Villa, Villa Park on Saturday. That's a midday kickoff, as they hope to replicate West Ham United's win there on Monday. So it does mean that Manchester City to end this campaign as champions. Quite how far ahead they'll finish ahead of the chasing pack remains to be seen. Arsenal, of course, still with 3 games to play. Brighton and Hove Albion, though, are just 2 points shy of their best ever points tally now. A win on the final day against Tottenham Hotspur would confirm that. Let's get some more reaction from the grounds.
Congratulations, another very, very good Brighton performance. How pleased are you all as a side with that performance and that result?
I was running towards the ball, that's it, and just shoot. I'm lucky.
And I'm happy.
And I'm happy.
Caitlin, it was another magnificent display. You have had such a huge say in this title race at the end of the season, but let's focus on yourselves first. How proud are you of what the players put in again out there tonight?
Yeah, of course, unbelievably. I think it's not easy to do, especially when you put a bit of a target on your back and people kind of know what we've built up and what's coming for them when we play against them. But just proud of this team and the effort that they put in each time, and yeah, we're reaping the rewards of the hard work that we've been doing all season.
7 changes before the game. Obviously, Dario talking about the FA Cup semi-final coming up, but it seemed like as a team, everybody just went out there with almost something to prove that so many changes had been made, but you were still going to play the Brighton way, and you did that.
Yeah, of course. I think, look, it's difficult. I've been there myself when you're a sub, and when you're given an opportunity, you need to stand up and be counted and prove that when you're called upon, you can do your job. And credit to girls like Hookah that wait for their moment and put their name in lights at the end.
You have ended Arsenal's title hopes. Manchester City are now crowned WSL champions. As players, when you come up against a side that's fighting for so much, does it give you that little bit of extra edge? You almost have that extra desire to be party poopers, as it were?
I mean, that'll be some people's motivation, but I think at the end of the day, 3 points or any points that you get on the board, it mean the same weight, and ultimately we keep an eye on ourselves and we want that 6th place, and that's our main motivation, is to gain as many points to keep us in that position.
And possibly the club record WSL total is still on now with this. But first, Fuka, you have a huge FA Cup semi-final at the weekend. How much confidence does another performance like this give you going into that huge game?
We can win.
Your questions are very long.
That is very fair. That is very fair. And you can win. That's the main message to take away. Well, Fuka, congratulations. Caitlin, would you like to do the honours? Well done. Congratulations. Congratulations. Thank you.
Well, she's certainly someone who has done all of her talking on the pitch today. Magnificent performance by Fuka Tsunoda. For Arsenal now, well, they need to dust themselves back off. Their unbeaten run in this competition has come to an end after 13 games. Brighton extend theirs to 6. They are heading into the Women's FA Cup semi-final in great form. That's it from us here, so good night. Thank you very much for tuning in. Full time is Brighton and Hove Albion 1, Arsenal 1.